Okay, we'll begin our stream real soon. We're going to Kentucky, everyone. Hey everyone, this is Nadeshiko Gatsby, the Wisteria Witch, for another edition of Fansview Fridays. Fansview Fridays is we try to keep it weekly. So every Friday, or at least we try to, we go over Kevin Lillard's convention reports. Now, for those of you just tuning in for the first time, Kevin Lillard was a very prominent photographer in the cosplay community. He was active in the late 90s to about 2009. He had passed away in 2022. We've missed him very dearly because there will be no one else like Kevin Lillard. And this is our tribute to him and his legacy because he left us a website called fansview.com, and this was the website where cosplayers would visit and view photos of cosplayers as the convention was going on. They would find photos of themselves and their friends, and if they had to miss out on a con, this is a great place to just sort of live through the convention just by looking at photos. And this is like the word is escaping my brain right now. It was almost like a shared experience as Kevin was uploading all these photos. A lot of people would just like flock to his website and was like, oh yeah, there's this something going on, there's that thing going on. So that's essentially Fans View in a nutshell. And every stream we go over one of his reports. And today we'll be going over Sugoi Con in Erlanger, Kentucky, and I hope I pronounced that name right. This convention took place on November 9th through 11th, 2001. Anime fans gathered south of Cincinnati for the second year in a row. And here we have featured Neil Needleman. I've actually seen his credits on the Central Park Media release of Revolutionary Girl Utena. I believe he was like one of the main translators for Utena. And we also have Robert DeJesus. Fun fact, I was actually at his wedding at Anime Central. Out of curiosity, let's take a look at the SugoiCon website. Let's look at the remnants of like what it looks like, what it looked like back then. Oh, check out this like 2000s, early 2000s kind of web design here. You have like the image here. You have like the place where you can like just click on the link button. So like yeah, I guess we're probably gonna go over guest in Kevin Lillard's report here. Wow, look at this design here. I tried to master this kind of upside down L-shaped design when I was working on websites. It's not easy as it looks. Like you got to be like a master like Paint Shop Pro, Corel Draw, and if you're lucky, you had Photoshop. Oh, we had Jan Scott Frazier. Let's just say when I first heard about corn pone flicks, and I'm gonna be very careful with how I say that because let's just say I thought there was an extra R in pone. I didn't know like corn pone was an actual thing. Like wait, I thought this was just a way to like just like how we say like have euphemisms for certain words you can't say on YouTube. I thought pone was like another way of saying like a certain word that also has the word R in it that starts with P and has an O and has an N. Anywho, we spotted some costumers when we rolled into Kentucky. Check out that Sakura Tyson. I love me some Sakura Tyson. Oh, looks like we have. Is this Toru from Fruits Basket? Yeah, the manga would have been out back then. You had the pointy like Seifuku thing here. Yeah, because Fruits Basket would the anime would have been coming out like in April the following year, so this would have to be the manga. Oh, Ayashi no Ceres. Ayashi no Ceres is also created by Yuatase, same creative behind Fushigi Yugi, a much darker story. Um, Also has a case of oh no, he's hot kind of a syndrome. But it's one of my favorite mangas. Like when I was a teenager, like they really don't make that kind of dark shoujo manga like they used to. But people were like, but what about Monica? Like Monica is like its own thing. But I'm like just talking about actual shoujo series that's like intentionally dark. Let's just like look here. Oh, that's from rival schools. Nice. Not sure where the cape is from, but that looks like a pretty cool cape. I'm actually stoked because I'm going to Ren Fair next Saturday. I'm super excited. I get to wear, um, I refer to it as my Dark Mage outfit. Speaking of which, I need to log into Final Fantasy 14 and live my best Catboy life. I haven't decided what my cat coded Warrior of Light thing's gonna be. But I do know for the next event where there's gonna be a lot of gamer people, I do want to have stickers of my Warrior of Light. So yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on this live stream, if you recognize any of these fandoms, shout them out in the chat. I'd love to know. Yeah, I also appreciate Rival Schools cosplay. I cosplayed as Kyoko back in 2001. It's actually um it's actually coincidental that you mention it because I cosplayed as Kyoko at San Diego Comic Con 2001. I'm sorry, 2002. And the person's cosplay that inspired me to kind of piece things together is my friend Lily. A friend of mine's like, hey, check out how this cosplayer does it, and you can like sort of imitate what she did with her costume. And then skip to like almost 25 years later, we're on the same panel, we're doing a masquerade skit together. Yeah, there's I Want to Learn Magic. Oh my god, it's the head of a Moogle. And we heard some advice on how to make costumes. All right. So, how do we make costumes back then? What are some advice you can give us, Seiji cosplayers? Oh my god, that's like classic Godzilla. I appreciate that. This rogues gallery of costume heads represents 3 years of work by Michigan costumers, work rewarded by awards for nearly everything seen here. Cloth is a big part of costuming, but foam pads outshape the many outfits created by the group. Dave Zinn and Rob Baranek show Kentucky anime fans how they shape foam to create some memorable characters. Dave started with a demonstration of his invaluable hot glue gun. And let me tell you that hot glue gun bullets or sticks, um, those are like your lifeline because we ran out in our hotel room and oh no. To shape a foam cylinder, he just warmed up the gun, loaded it with a glue stick, rolled the foam in desired shape, and applied the glue to the edges of the foam. Yes, the hot glue does melt part of the foam that is being glued together, Dave said, but the experience with material lets a costume maker tell how much glue to apply. And while Dave uses a big glue gun, a smaller tool will be useful. Here's an example of the costumer's glue work. This oversized movable head is made from a sheet foam with one side shaped into wedges, then glued together to form the top of the head. Through careful detail work, the edges of the foam sheet are concealed by the shaggy fur that was glued to the foam. And while the green color of its foam shows the underside, it doesn't show from the outside unless you look very, very close. Foam is also a solution to forming the improbable shapes of anime hair, but there's always the solution of using a wig. Rob showed how he bought a black wig and then mixed in furniture wax and shellac to make the wig hold his unusual shape, which was very convincing when seen from the distance of the stage audience during a costume contest. And the wig used in this manner doesn't have to be expensive. Rob said that this piece costs $5, only twice as much as the foam form on which it sits. Okay, next. All right, let's see. Visitor buddy Steve. Studio Iron Cat paid close attention to the fans. Ever since Steve Bennett of Studio Iron Cat was given a DV camcorder, life has changed. The person in charge of the Fredericksburg VA small press manga publisher spends much of his convention time using the camera to record scenes of fans. Of course, Iron Cat always has tried hard to listen to its fans, which is why Bennett spent most of his panel discussion time at Sugoi questioning fans about their preferences. Having noted a trend towards yaoi titles among West Coast female fans, Bennett asked if that sort of material was something that Iron Cat should add to its sexy fruit line. Do I want to know this, Steve? Much of Iron Cat's plans for 2002 center around the works of Kakunochi Narumi, the creator of Vampire Princess Miu and the Vampire Princess Yui series. I do need a cosplay from Vampire Princess Miu. I would do the Halloween is coming up. I'm just saying. If it sounds like we're the House of Miu, it's fine to me, said Bennett. The people who do Miu have been good to us. Iron Cat has finished 5 graphic novels of the Miu series, plans to re-release the Miu issues that originally came from Antarctic Press, and has the rest of the Miu manga from Kakinoichi on the way. Miu likes to get really medieval in the series. She tended to get beaten up in the first series, she really tears up people in this one. Tears up or tears up? And Iron Cat will release the translated Miu manga compilations Unflipped, where the art is read right to left, Japanese style. Iron Cat will also release 6 volumes of Vampire Princess Yui, and has finished with the Dahlia series from Kakinoichi. After releasing a cosmic calendar in 2001, Iron Cat drew much attention and plenty contributions for a 2002 calendar. Bennett isn't sure what form the 2002 cosmic offering will take. Iron Cat's artist Doug Smith noted that it could be a 2001 Iron Cat convention recap book that would be something of a yearbook for 2001's conventions, which could include some pinups and some artwork. When Bennett suggested it could be something like a coffee table book, a fan shouted, "Yes! Yes!" Scott Frazier looked at what works in the anime industry. Alright, Jan, what can you tell me? When this page heard from animator Jan Scott Frazier at NecoCon 2 weeks earlier, she spoke about the mechanisms of animation. At Sugoi-con, Frazier looked at the business of anime. September 11 tore a big chunk of the Japanese economy, said Frazier. Producers are scaling back the amount of work they're doing, expecting a recession. Those cuts are also reflect the diminishing market for direct-to-video OVA productions, Frazier said. The Japanese economy has been weaker than the U.S. economy, and OAV sales have fallen off. That market... Oh, hey, I got a raid here. Welcome, Jorn Hansen VTuber. Welcome. Glad to see y'all here. We're just talking about Sugoi-con from 2001, so enjoy the nostalgia. The Japanese economy has been weaker than the U.S. economy, and OVA sales have fallen off. That market of people who buy OVAs, no matter what happened, just dried up. So there was this movement to TV. The larger emphasis on anime for television does not mean that North American fans will no longer be able to search for the next big thing from Japan. Good shows will continue to be made, but not in the same numbers or top-level quality as before, Frazier said. And there's still a market for anime movies, even original films without a TV tie-in, such as the latest Hayao Miyazaki film, Sentuchihiro Spirited Away. The movie about a girl and her attempt to rescue her parents after they transform into pigs has drawn near record box office in Japan and has made up for the commercial failure of the previous Studio Ghibli release, My Neighbor the Yamadas. While some North American fans criticize Cartoon Network for cuts in series such as Cowboy Bebop, Frazier understands since she's had to face some standards and practice limitations in the productions on which she's worked. Overall, Frazier thinks the cable casting of Bebop is fantastic and looks on that as a great way to promote the release of the 2001 Bebop movie in the US. However, Frazier thinks that anime shows still need to be better written. She dislikes what she sees as the weak endings of some films. And Frazier still wishes that her friends at Production IG had already made a sequel to the Ghost in the Shell movie. Yeah, let's take a look at the comments before we move forward. Oh, awesome. So we're here in 2001 at the tail end. It's November and we're here in Kentucky. Matt K. Miller took fans through the life of an actor. In the years since this page last encountered Matt K. Miller, the English language voice of Tenchi Masaki in Tenchi Muyo, he's grown a full beard. That's a step up for Miller since the beard was needed for an acting job. A few days after Sugoi-con, Miller planned to fly west to a shooting location for a Civil War movie, based on the Battle of Fredericksburg, in which he was cast as a Union officer. Of course, beards were a standard part of the way people looked in the US in the 19th century, and the more realistic the beard you can get for the film is the one you grow. Miller said he was going to make a quick trip for the film, head out west, get fitted for a uniform, costume, and horse, and start shooting a couple of days after he arrived. The fans of Miller's Sugoi-con presentation were less interested in the Civil War film than they were in Miller's work in the Tenchi series and how they could develop their acting skills. Many people at the Miller panel were amateur actors who worked on their own anime fandoms. Miller told them that he always liked to spend a few minutes getting warmed up for his dub sessions since he had to change the pitch of his regular voice for the younger Tenchi, but the roughest job he had was when he had to create a demon's voice for the animated Spawn. Don't choose a voice that is too difficult to do. You may have to do it for hours. To give amateur actors a look for the real world of a professional actor, Miller took them to the simulated audition. He told the fans to give him a reading in several voices, from a villain to a superhero to a nerd. That sounds a little bit more strained. It sounds like it could hurt your voice. Miller said about one actor's efforts, the fans at the convention panel were having fun, but the simulated auditions could only go so far in showing the pressure that actors face when they're competing for the role. That pressure might intimidate some, but Miller said it's a part of an actor's life. Is your prized possession a bootleg? Okay, this should be interesting because, oh boy, let's talk about. Are we going to talk about Hong Kong bootlegs? Is it for real? In the case of this Love Hina DVD, the owner said it's a bootleg, produced in an Asian factory and sold for a cheap price. It's hard to tell a bootleg DVD from the real one, since the packaging and the artwork on the disc look as good as you'd expect from a legitimate product. There seems an argument among some fans whether or not Sanmei or Ever Anime audio discs should be sold in convention dealers' rooms. Most conventions prefer to avoid them, but it looks as if the rise of high-quality DVD knockoffs is going to make life more difficult for those who keep track of legal and illegal merchandise. Appearing at Sugoi-con was a group of people who spoke about ways to tell the real from the fake. For the wall scrolls, look for a copyright notice and examine the scroll for reproduction flaws, they said. For audio CDs, look for the catalog number to be reproduced both on the spine of the jewel box and on the center hub of the disc. Bootleg CDs that are burned as CDRs aren't going to be the uniform silver color of mass-produced discs and will have a telltale ring that shows where the disc has been burned. And any number of bootleg graphics can be spotted by looking for places where the originals have been cropped in odd ways. A panel member said she spotted prints that had been copied from original postcards because they had perforations across the top. Many of these bootleg detection techniques require opening the package and taking a close look at the item, which won't be easy in the case of a shrink-wrap disc. Model kits need that sort of careful scrutiny because recast items are missing fine details found on the originals. Because sometimes it's easier to tell phony by smell rather than by touch. The resin used in bootleg models often has more hardener than a legitimate kit, and the bootleg plastic doesn't smell right when it's worked with a small power tool used by model builders. Oh boy. Here's a look at the most popular attraction at anime conventions. Are we going to talk about DDR? It looks like we're going to be talking about DDR. Mention it in the comments or in the chat. What was your go-to DDR song? I want to know. Every anime convention must have a Dance Dance Revolution machine. Sugoi-con got theirs on Friday afternoon, delivered by a fan truck. But the machine is big and heavy. Two convention volunteers pondered how they were going to get the thing out of the truck. This is like a life of a DDR machine. This is awesome. Solution: grab 4 more guys and get them to help you wrestle the thing out of the truck bed, but carefully. There wasn't much time to celebrate, because there's just barely enough time to roll the monster into the room that had been reversed for its use and hook up the floor pads. A couple of hours later, the first players were turned loose on the DR machine. First one at a time. Then in twos and threes, what you saw only two floor pads, people who couldn't wait would stand behind the players and match their steps waiting their turn. I personally have moved a DDR machine across town. They're about 750 pounds. Oh my goodness. The hall suddenly filled with costumers on Saturday morning. All right, let's take a look at cosplay fandom in 2001 Kentucky. Okay, we got some Dragon Ball fans here. We got Subaru. It's interesting because someone was sharing their Otakon photos, and someone actually cosplayed as that version of Subaru. Okay, just scrolling down. Oh, there's Miyaka. Oh, it's the dude from Love Hina. That guy. Got Gundam Wing. I Want to Learn Magic. I remember when like I Want to Learn Magic was like one of the quintessential like boys love watches at the time because of Abaratsu and Takeo. Because Abaratsu was like the quintessential like, oh, is that a Kuroneko? Heck yeah, Kuroneko. Don't get me wrong, I love the new Trigun. I think the new Trigun anime is a lot of fun, and I like the animation. I think they're doing a lot of really amazing things with it. But what's keeping me from like really falling in love with it? Where's Kuroneko? Where's Kuroneko's John Sama? I also want my Kuroneko merchandise, thank you very much. If you could have your Vashwood merch, your Meryl, your Millie merch, I'd like to have my Kuroneko merch, thank you very much. I can keep up with the new season. Oh, I love her outfit. It's very 1920s, I approve. I love how this kid is right here. Oh yeah, he's costuming as Troa. He's like building a model kit. I love that. Just Gundam fans in their element. There's a literal smoking fae. We have Jupiter and we have Jupiter and we have Fu, so Team Green Magical Girls, yay. And please don't judge cosplayers by the use of their satin. It's all we had at time. Okay, we have Mr. Satan, Mark, and then we also have a Badman. Haha, Badman. Hey, remember when Admiral Magnetism was a thing? Okay, someone's mentioning their DDR go-to song in the chat. First one was a PS2 port DDR Max, Dance Dance Revolution 7th Mix, and one of my go-to songs is Breakdown. Nice. We have, oh my god, we have Ray, Asuka, and we have Hikari. Everyone forgets about Hikari. I really think that Illustrious Mari replaced Hikari. Okay, we have Ryoga. Looks like he's trying to make his way downtown. Faces past, and he's maybe homebound. Oh, we have, I believe this is, wait, maybe not. The wings and the horns are throwing me off. Because I want to say, like, is that Sana from, like, Child's Toy? Because I do love me some Child's Toy. That was, like, one of my comfort animes, like, back in the day. We have Dada from, Sorcerer Hunters. Okay, we have a mix of Final Fantasy folks over here. Lupin! Then we have Aerith and Cloud. The costuming crew got really interesting on Saturday afternoon. All right, let's take a look-see here. Oh, we have Lime from Saber Marionette. Oh, we got Zex from Gundam Wing. Oh, we got two of them right here. Awesome. Great Saiyaman, Chichiri. Ah, sweet, movie Utena. I think someone in the chat mentioned they want to cosplay as movie Utena. I am working on movie Anthe though. Got Noriko. Yeah, I remember like a huge trend back then was like the cat girl with the collar with the chain, and they be wearing some sort of like um skimpy leather outfit. Not that there was anything wrong with that. It was just more like just an observation, like just what were some of the non-cosplay fashion trends at the time. Aw, Miyaka. I also like looking in the background here in the dealer's hall, just kind of seeing like what's in the background. Like just seeing like all the paper flyers over here. Oh, we have more animal magnetism. Sometimes I wondered like what made animal magnetism like as popular as it was back then, because I remember like a lot of people were like cosplaying from it. I know it's like easy cute cosplay, but I just remember like a lot of people just flocked to that trend. Like even I had friends who flocked to that trend too. Like one of my friends ended up cosplaying as Mint, who was like this green canary thing. Okay, just scrolling through. All right, so that takes care of Saturday's costumes. All right, now let's take a look at the cosplay contest. All right, let's just take a look at the entries over here. It's like they use like a literal hotel ballroom, and they have people just kind of like just walk onto the ballroom stage. It's kind of like when you go to like a wedding at a hotel. We have Vincent, we have Quistis. Oh, we got Sailor Moon musicals. That's amazing. That's like on my bucket list of things I want to make. It's like the musical outfits. But who would I make? Well, obviously Mars. But like there's just so much going on in those outfits, and to me it's just really sad that we don't have a lot of resources for craft stores, because now that Joanne's RAP. I mean, granted, where I live, we do have the Fabric District, but it involves going to downtown LA, which is not the best place to get to. Yeah, it looks like they just had like cosplayers just kind of like walk across the ballroom floor and just kind of like show off their stuff. I wonder if there was like a skit portion or if this was all walk-ons, because a lot of the posing here implies like this was all just like a walk-on type thing. Because I also see Steve in the background too. If you look carefully, the gentleman in a gray shirt. Yeah, that's Steve Bennett, all right. Aw, that's not a. I actually had a friend who cosplayed as Dada back in 2001, and they let me wear their angel wings. I too had the leather jacket back then. Yeah, leather jacket, angel wings. I just always thought that always made me look badass when I was like a teenager. Because you know, like when you're a teen, you kind of have that outfit that just makes you like feel like you're super cool. Yeah, that was me, just a leather jacket and angel wings. Ow. All right. Oh, that's a pretty amazing Mononoke. That's awesome. Oh, is that Godzilla dancing with Jan Scott Frazier? I love it. I'm assuming those are two of the judges, or this. I'm assuming this is like the person who was running that cosplay workshop. All right. Now that that's over with, let's look at the award winners. Okay, best solo costume. Oh no, it's not letting it load. Oh, there we go. Okay, it went to the San cosplay from Princess Mononoke. I need to rewatch that movie again. We had second place solo went to Dota. Best group entry. This looks familiar. Oh, Jet Set to the Radio Future. Duh. Because yeah, duh. Look at the rollerblades. I'm not sure what these folks are from. Part of me wants to say Rare, though I'm not so sure. But if anyone knows what they're from, please let me know in the chat or in the comments. Of course, we have Rabian Rose for most kawaii. I actually cosplayed as Rabian Rose in the early 2000s. Most unique went to the our friends from Animal Magnetism. Yeah, again, if someone can explain to me how that trend took off. Yeah, Komi, you and I need a day where we just like watch Mononoke and have spaghetti and meatballs. I'm just saying. And maybe some cream soda on the side too. Artists discuss diversions for fans. Artists Mike Hayes and James Dewey are familiar with Faces anime convention artist alleys. They created characters and books of their own, and they got commissions from fans to draw their fans' favorite anime characters. That makes the fans happy and generates a few dollars for the artist, but puts the artist in a gray area. If you don't sell massive quantities, you can get away with it, Dawson noted. The Japanese companies see it as promotion, pointing at to the example of doujinshi fan books that proliferate in Japan mostly without interference. Hayes, the only artist in a family of lawyers, said, "You can't be sued for anything. It's a question of whether or not you're going to win." Both artists noted that the Walt Disney Company has a reputation of aggressively controlling their characters. Both also said they like to draw characters from other artists, especially the artists whose style they like the most. The artists have all their favorite stories about convention fans who make requests for ranging from the strange to the really odd. Dossie said that he gets nervous. "When I look in the eyes of the person making the request and don't like what I see, I don't want to deal with the kind of person who will be on the 6 o'clock news." While Hayes said, "I draw the line on things I can't show my mother," Dossie replied that "my mother is more lenient than yours." Dossie said he once asked to draw a picture of a cute anime girl holding up a severed head of an X-Men character. He created the drawing and liked the idea because he likes playing characters against type. Neil Nadelman told a tale of translation. So yeah, this is the guy who also translated Utana because I do notice his name like in the credits. So let's hear from Neil Nadelman. All Neil Nadelman wanted to do was learn what characters were saying in Japanese cartoons he watched. So he took 2 years of formal instruction in Japanese and learned the rest on my own. Now, Nadelman is one of the busiest freelance anime translators in North America, handling many jobs for Zero Limit Productions, Bandai, and The Right Stuff. The rise in translated anime has generated so much for Nailman that his full-time job is anime translating. The idea of a translator specializing in anime series is something you'll find mostly in North America, he said. He strives for accuracy and says if a translation seems trite and trivial, it's because the original was written that way. The translation business has changed with the emphasis on DVDs and the predominance of dub anime. Once upon a time, I cared only about the subtitled version, said Neilman. I figured the dub would be screwed up. That changed once I realized dubs were outselling the subs, and the dub is just as important as the subtitled version. I give the producer the dub as much information as possible. Subtitles have to be designed with the reading and speed of the average buyer and the video format in mind, he noted. While DVD format allows extras, multiple subtitles, and audio tracks, there are limits to DVD video resolution that lead to a larger subtitle fonts that would be used in a videotape release. Neilman's translation also is changing with product release patterns. When he once had to, where he once had to after a project was completed before he began translation, often he now starts to work while a film is being made. That's because of other major change. Nadelman notes the move towards simultaneous releases of anime in Japan and the US to take advantage of the US market and fans' desire for the newest titles. We're now reaching the point that the English dub is being produced at the same time the anime is being made. what you buy in the US is going to be the same that will be released in Japan. All right, now we're ready for Kevin's final notes on Sugoi Con. One item shows the success of Sugoi Con. They had too many entrants for the costume contest. In the convention's second year, they had planned to have no more than 50 entrants on the Saturday night cosplay, probably figuring that SugoiCon was too small to draw many participants. Guess what? By the time the convention had barely opened the third registration period for the event, they already had 50 applicants and still costumers came. The cosplay organizers had to add another 10 entrants and had the chance of keeping people happy when they tried to close cosplay registration for good at 60 entries. People still kept coming. While a few people were disappointed that they didn't get to enter, that shows that there are more fans interested in cosplay in the Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio tri state area than anyone expected. There were a lot of cosplay duos, whether intentional or by coincidence. 2 Asukas from Evangelion, 2 Sans from Mononoke, 2 Tuxedo Mask, 2 Clans from Outlaw Star, 2 Limes from Saber Marionette, 2 Lanes from Zero Experiments Lane, 2 Dragon Ball Fighters, and a large group from Evangelion and Trigun. The author got some help in getting Saturday night cosplay pictures online. Since the author again has to split his time between SugoiCon and a racing banquet, he left behind an old backup camera, which was used by a staffer to take pictures of the contestants. Then, a helpful fan emailed the list of winners to the author, who didn't get the list himself because he had to make his typical early exit from the convention. The second SugoiCon wasn't a big convention by any means, but it's found niche as the other convention, the other fall convention, the other Midwest convention, the other Southern event. There seem as many people from Anime Week in Atlanta as Anime Central and Erlanger over the weekend. Most of the name tags spotted by this author to come from Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee in that order, with a handful of fans from Indiana who rolled from Michigan. And while the convention has one of the best centrally located hangout areas in the lobby of the Holiday Inn, just west of Covington, Kentucky Airport, there's talk of finding a new location for SugoiCon, although it'll stay in late October or early November. The convention may have been the first to have the biggest guests to attend in disguise, sort of. The author was waiting for a Friday night event to start and told it was going to be delayed because Matt K. Miller was running late, which was a surprise to Miller, who was standing right behind to the person who hadn't arrived yet. Miller's beard, grown for a movie role, caught some fans by surprise who expected him to be clean shaven as he had been in 2000. Miller had got a lot of fan attention, especially from people who went to his panels and asked him how they would become an actor, but the beard made it easier for him to travel the halls. 2 weeks earlier, Miller had become one of the guests of honor at the Big Apple Anime Fest in New York and said that it was a good event. He also said he slipped away from the convention to glance at the site of 9/11 terrorist attacks and was amazed at the hole at the Manhattan skyline left by the destruction of the World Trade Center. The attack had its surprise impact on SugoiCon. The convention had hoped to bring some Japanese guests to Kentucky, but the impact of the attack ended those plans. Hopefully, things will improve in 2002 when a new convention season arrives. And hopefully, things will improve for Cincinnati, located a few miles north of the convention site. An anime convention is always a bright spot in the community's life, but SugoiCon may have been the only bright spot for Greater Cincinnati in 2001. Things got bad in April, where policemen shot an unarmed black man. After 3 nights of riots and 800 arrests, the situation calmed, but months later, Cincinnati is still struggling to come to grips with the meaning of the riots. April was supposed to be the month when the Reds celebrated the start of the successful season with Ken Griffey Jr.'s return home, but an injured Griffey did little to help a strange season in the ballpark that was gradually being demolished, and in the $450 million football stadium that the football Bengals had demanded, shook their heads as the guys in the tiger striped suits returned to their losing habits. But while the Major League Baseball talked about dropping terms because of their markets didn't throw enough money at the owners, any convention fans kept planning to add events, with at least 3 new 2002 conventions in Texas, Maine, and California planned to join the 8 events that made their debut in 2001. Hopefully, the mood of the world will have gotten better by then. On the day after the convention, the author was sitting in an auto dealership waiting for his car to be repaired. Someone turned on the TV set in the waiting room, and there was a CNN report of an airliner crash in Queens in New York. Customers and workers wandered into the room and saw the plume of smoke on the TV screen and asked, "What happened now? Was it sabotage?" Then they went back to work, as will the rest of the world. All right, that was Sugoi by Kevin Lillard. So if you enjoy listening to these live streams, please hit that like and subscribe, that follow button. Love to have you here. Love to have you whenever we do something live. Love to read your comments and stories from convention past. And in addition to that, I'd also like to give a plug to my book, The Fangirl Diaries. The Fangirl Diaries, this book is all about this time period of anime fandom wherein it was cool. It was just an amazing time. It's just what it was like to be a fan in the 90s and early 2000s and just try to convince your parents to let you go to your first anime convention. And also, with that said, I also wanted to give a shout out to the Crafting Con. This is a young adult romance book about two childhood friends. They drift apart and somehow cosplay brings them back together. And that's that with the Fansview Friday, Sugoi Con 2001. We're hoping to do SoccerCon 2001 with our friend Isaac Alexander, the former chair of SoccerCon, whenever we can get that the ball rolling on that. I'm hoping to do some read-along live streams since I do like reading and people have complimented my voice at panels. We're probably going to do that in the future. And I did find an indie game to check out. It's very Ryoko Ikeda coded, so I'm looking forward to playing that visual novel for y'all. And with that said, thank you so much for tuning into Fancy Fridays. Again, hit that like and subscribe button. If you want to buy my book, The Fangirl Diaries, link is in the description to get your copy today. With that said, thank you so much for joining us for Fancy Fridays, and we will see you next time here at the Wisteria Cottage.